the amazing Katie Ledecky. The big question off the bat tonight, can she become the first woman to break the 15-minute barrier in the 1650? Six-time Olympic medalist, including 5 in Rio, 4 in gold, and her Stanford Cardinal has a commanding lead over the California Golden Bears, and Texas A&M right now stands in third. Started off with the 1650. Ledecky holds the NCAA and American records in this, set at the Ohio State Invitational back in November. But the question, Rowdy, is can she become the first woman to break the 15-minute barrier? There's the first man to do it, Casey Converse. He did it 40 years ago, and now Ledecky tried to do it.
I will always admire Casey Converse, one of the great barriers in swimming history. When he broke 15 minutes, it was something that I thought was out of this world. I couldn't imagine 40 years later, here we stand, and to have the first woman to have the potential to do it.
Take your moment.
Lane 8's at the top of your screen, lane 1 at the bottom, and Katie Ledecky is in lane 4.
And there's so much pressure, Rich. You know, we've talked about it all day long about the fact that there was so much on her shoulders coming into this meet. It's, you know, she's been 15:03. The superlatives as we go over this race the next 15 minutes are just unbelievable. They're just unheard of. But I think one of the things that makes her so good, especially in these distance events, is the fact she doesn't treat it like a distance event. No, she treats it like a sprint, and she blasts out so quickly. As you can see, already 75 yards of body length ahead, that she forces every single other swimmer to react, and it takes them out of their own race point.
She said at the Olympic Games that her goal was to take it out fast and bring it home fast, and you get the sense that she wants to do that in the mile as well.
If you think about, again, some of these superlatives, I mean, she's never lost. At the international level, in every single major individual race, she is yet to lose. I mean, that's 5 Olympic gold medals in the Olympic Games, that's 9 goals at the World Championships, and 5 goals at the Pan Pacs, which is the big meet for the United States every 4 years. So, over the last 4 years, she is as dominating of a swimmer that I've ever seen in history, and that includes the greatest swimmer, male or female in history, Michael Phelps, because he always had a rival.
He's the greatest, she's the most dominant.
She's the most dominant, but she's also the greatest in history. I know, we'll talk about it. Some people argue. My list always starts with a Tracy Calkins and a Janet Evans and a Shirley Babashoff and a Mary T. Muller. But none have done what she has done over the last 4 or 5 years.
And as you look at this, Rowdy, just above her is Leah Smith, fellow Olympic gold medalist, and at any other time, in any other universe, Leah Smith might be the best distance swimmer anywhere, but here she is, and Katie Ledecky, by the time this is over, will probably lap her.
You know, and Leah Smith has the 3rd fastest time in history, or excuse me, the 3rd fastest performer in history. Katie Ledecky has the top 3 times in history. Her best time, Katie Ledecky, is over 20 seconds faster than the 2nd fastest performer in history. That's Katie Hoff, which was an incredible time at the time of 15:24. She's been 15:03.
Ledecky has the 3 fastest swims of all time, 4 of the top 10. The only reason she doesn't have more is she just hasn't swum the 1650 that
That's
often.
exactly right.
Yeah, in the long course meters equivalent, the 1500, she has the top 13 performances ever. It's ridiculous.
27.5s on her 50s. She'll flip here at about 3:09.6. That's about 4 seconds under American record pace. Again, the record, if you're thinking the barrier, 15 minutes, 15:03.92. So she's going to have to drop 4 seconds. She dropped the full second, Rich, right, in the 500 to break the American record. She went 4:25 to 4:24 flat. So I was talking to her coach, Greg Meehan. We were both talking to him earlier tonight, and I said, what's she got to do? And he said, she's just got to stick to her race plan. She's been warming up great. She hasn't had the greatest of meets for Katie Ledecky. But he says she's been very consistent, and she really wants starts this one. And every time I've seen a race over the last 5 years, she gets better and better as the meet has progressed.
Leah Smith in second right now, just above Ledecky in lane 5, and Smith's the defending champion in this event. Leah had a great swim at the trials in the 400 free. She was 1.7 seconds behind Ledecky and actually split a faster back half than Katie did, and she famously said afterward, "I saw Katie's feet. I'm never that close."
That was the line of the meet there. Here she is coming into the 500. Let's check the split here. 4:32.1. Still way under pace. 3.5 seconds under that pace. And that time would have been third in the individual 500 here at the NCAAs. The only person that would have beat her was, of course, Katie Ledecky, and then Leah Smith, who had a tremendous swim in 4:28. So those are the only two that would have beaten her 500 time, and she still has over 1,000 yards left.
Ledecky already broke the NCAA and American record in the 500 free earlier in this meet, and now gunning for the 1650, looking to go under 15 minutes and become the first in history to do it.
Bringing the times down a little bit. I said she was 27.5, and kind of holding those pretty steady. 27.2 there. Think about this stat. A couple more interesting stats on Katie. Up until 1976, she went 8:04 at the Olympic Games. Up until 1976, no man had ever been faster than that.
And you got to think in Tokyo, she's going to make, if not before, she'll make a run of that 8-minute mark.
I really think, I mean, she's been 8:04. I mean,
Budapest, maybe?
Well, in 2015, at the World Championship, she would have been 29th in the 800 in the men's event. And let that sink in. Here's another one that sinks in. This is an interesting one. Janet Evans, when she broke her 800 freestyle record, she broke it by 8.5 seconds in 1989. It took 19 years for someone to break that record. Katie broke that record and has already loaded by 10 seconds. That's how incredible that 800 was at the Olympic Games. And by the way, Rich, that was her last individual swim.
And by the way, Janet Evans, 27 years ago, 26 years ago, was the last Stanford swimmer to win this event.
And she still has a top 10 performer time in history. Shows you how great of a swimmer Janet Evans was. She went 15:39 back in 1990. Now, you're going to start to lose Katie Ledecky right about here. There she is. It's hard to take your eye off of her because she's so much faster than anybody else. But here's the field. She's coming up on the field, Rich, and we're not even halfway through this event. And these are some incredible swimmers in this field. This is not a slacker field. These are some of the best swimmers in the country, obviously, because this is a time final. This is not a final. This is a final at the last heat of an event. The fastest time of this event is actually Elias Stevens of Stanford, who went 15:52 earlier. And Greg Meehan pointed out the fact that Katie was really excited about her teammate, just a sophomore, going her best time by 5 seconds. So I think Greg said that really gave Katie a lot of confidence going into this race because they're training partners.
She seemed to embrace the team aspect of things in Rio, and she really has embraced it with the Stanford Cardinals.
She really has, and you know, she was the youngest swimmer on the team in 2012, youngest again in 2016, but just a great teammate. And as great of a swimmer, and I've said this over and over again, but I can't say it enough, as great of a swimmer as she is in the water, she's a much better person out of the water. I've never seen a more gracious, a more humble champion. I've never seen a more gracious or humble family. Her mom and dad, her brother Michael, they just epitomize what you want to see out of an incredible swimming USA swimming family.
She was lapping the entire field now, with the exception of Leah Smith, and she was about, half a lap ahead of her right now. Takes everything in stride, Rowdy, and she just seems to be impervious to pressure.
She really does. And Yeah, Rich, she had a lot of adjustments to make going into her freshman year in college. That was another thing we've been talking about all day. She didn't have school last year, so she literally took a year off to train for those Olympics, graduated from high school, and the record, by the way, was 8:59 plus in the 1,000. She's going to be 9:06.9, which again is just way under American record pace. She's only 2 seconds now, but it's still way under. She's got some room to make up here in this next 300 or 400, but what I'm really hoping is this crowd really needs to get off their feet here and get her going, because she feeds off that. She fed off the energy in London. She fed off that energy of the crowd in Rio, and she's talked about feeding off the energy of her teammates. I know her Stanford teammates are up at them. World Swimmer of the Year in 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 4 years in a row, World Swimmer of the Year.
I get the picture.
Okay, I can't say enough.
And her 1,000 free time was the second fastest in history. And again, Leah Smith is in this, fellow Olympic gold medalist, earned a gold medal swimming in the final of the 800 free relay. Also a bronze in an individual event for 400 free behind Ledecky and Jazz Carlin of Great Britain.
Another 27.7 there. And you talk about Leah Smith, and what an incredible year she had last year. Olympic bronze medal, as you say, in the 400. Won the gold as part of that relay, the 800 relay with Katie Ledecky in Rio. Has had a tremendous NCAA championships here. Defending champion at 15:32. Won her best time. Really kind of fallen off the pace there, 28.1. She went from 27.7, Rich, to 28.1, so it's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy. She's got, listen, 10.58, Rich, 10.58.7. Now she's behind the pace.
By 4 tenths?
She's actually fallen off the pace now to break that to break her own record actually. You can see her stroke starting to fall apart just a little bit, and I'm saying fall, I use that in relative terms still, but she's still grasping. A lot of people ask me, what makes her so good physically, because she doesn't have those large hands and large feet. She's only 5'11", and I say only 5'11", but that's not especially tall for a woman swimmer. She doesn't have a great strong pull, not a great kick, subpar kick. She's had 3 coaches in her career, Yuri Sugiyama, Bruce Gimmel, and now Greg Meehan. They've all said that, or at least Bruce Gimmel said she doesn't have that great of a feel for the water. I beg to differ on that. But her work ethic is what I think is that magic that she has that just nobody else has. She just pushes herself to where it's not sustainable each and every practice.
Under 250 yards to go now, and I was talking with Greg Meehan a few weeks back at Stanford. He was saying that he's in touch with Bruce Gimmel. He wants this transition from Gimmel on the East Coast to Meehan on the West Coast to go smoothly for Ledecky, and by all accounts it has.
And that's what all the great coaches do. That's why Greg Meehan's on the verge of winning his first NCAA championship as a head coach.
And he'll be the head coach of the U.S. women in Budapest at the Worlds coming up this summer.
You're watching somebody that's swimming completely by themselves. Now, she's used to it, obviously, but it's got to be difficult because it's got to be pain set in. I mean, she's hurt. I can guarantee you she's in a lot of pain right now. And a lot of times you can fight through that pain when you've got somebody right beside you, because that's what keeps the adrenaline flowing. But, the adrenaline starts to settle down a little bit here. She's got the race well in hand, and it doesn't look like unless she does something completely miraculous, which we've seen her do many times, she's not going to break 15 minutes.
Morata, we saw her get pushed in the 200 by Sarah Schwester. She beat her by 35 100ths. In these distance races, she's only swimming against the clock. How much better would she be if you cloned her and there was another Ledecky that was pushing her?
Well, it would be a completely different story, no doubt about it.
Here in the 1650, and Katie Ledecky trying to become the first woman to break the 15-minute barrier. She had the pace. She's fallen off the pace a little bit. She needs a strong kick.
Well, there's no question she's not going to break her record. She's not going to break 15 minutes. But again, we're comparing a lot of this to what Katie Ledecky has set for herself. That's who she's racing. She's racing the legend of Katie Ledecky. She's still going to put out a time that's one of the fastest times in history. She already owns the 3 fastest times in history. And here she comes, knowing with 100 yards left to go, she's still on the verge of putting out an exceptional time, doing it all by herself, by the way.
And Rowdy, the great distance runner Steve Prefontaine said a race is like a work of art. And when you watch Katie swim, that can be said of her.
Yeah, there is an artist, no doubt about it, when she swims in the water. And a beautiful stroke has set the standard that just, I don't know if any other swimmer will ever be able to do. It's just incredible what she's been able to do up until this point. The greatest female swimmer in history is finishing the final touches on a triple. I mean, she won the 500 free, broke the record there, tied the 200 freestyle for gold there. Now she's going to win the gold here.
She's not going to break the 15-minute barrier, not yet. She'll do that sometime. Right now, she is swimming to the second fastest swim in history, 15:07.70.
Casey Converse there, who was the first man in history to break 15 minutes, appreciating the incredible performance that Katie Ledecky is. And Leah Smith coming in second with a great time.
15:28.89. And that is the 9th fastest time in history, the 8th fastest time in history for Leah Smith.
Gold and bronze medalists from Rio in the 400 freestyle, great friends. Leah Smith, the senior at Virginia, will now have a pro career ahead of her. Katie Ledecky, just a freshman. As you said, Rich, has got a long way to go, and I think that 15-minute barrier will be hers one day.
Big smile from Katie, who takes everything in stride. And another NCAA championship for Ledecky, her 3rd here in her freshman season.
Here's another look at one of the most beautiful strokes you'll ever see. Grabs that water so well, rides nice and high, has an incredible feel for the water. I talked so much about her work ethic. Just fell apart a little bit. She might have jumped on that first 500 just a touch. Fell off just a little bit the last 500 yards, but still the 2nd fastest time in history, 15:07.
Leah Smith 2nd, Megan Burns in 3rd. Burns also trained at the same club as Ledecky under Bruce Gemmell, nation's capital swim club. So Ledecky, Smith, and Burns. Stanford goes 1 and 3 in the 1650. And Katie Ledecky is with Kat LaRocca.
Well, Katie, you certainly weren't close to tying anyone, I guess, in this event like you were in the 200. A lot of pressure and expectations coming into an event like this. How do you manage that?
Just focus on what I want to do and try to execute my race plan as best I can. I think I maybe took it out a little too hard, but I can still be happy with that, and happy for my teammates. Got 3 in the top 8, so can't be happier.
Now, what was that race plan heading in?
I mean, for sure I wanted to break 15, but you know, I just wanted to try to go out smooth and bring it home hard, and I just didn't have as much as I wanted at the end, but it'll give me something to work towards in the future.
Now, you've represented Team USA, most notably last summer in Rio, but how does it feel to now be here representing the Stanford Cardinal?
It's a blast. You know, we want to finish tonight on a good note and have a lot of fun doing it, and I've had a lot of fun this whole year, and I'm really proud of my teammates for everything they've done, both in the pool and in school, and we've been on this journey together since September, and we're going to finish out tonight.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen.